This is a somatic resetting class. I've been building this for years, but I haven't really debuted it as its own thing, which is to hopefully give you more of a general sense of ease and well-being in your body, a little bit of relaxation. I've been using it to wring myself the fuck out because I'm constantly wound up. Anyway, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'll try to keep it to an hour. And thanks for being part of it. Yeah. So why don't you come stand up? So somatic resetting is about distilling the most elemental parts of yourself. So as you stand there, see how it is for you, see how you are, and see if without even moving yet, if you can start to get a sense of your own internal rhythm. And see if you can get an idea of the kind of state that you're in from an idea about your internal rhythm, and also from your internal rhythm is some kind of idea about the way you're experiencing energy in your body, whatever that means to you. You know, is that your pulse, your heartbeat, somewhere that feels a little tight or warm? So stand with that for a moment. And if you're not closing your eyes already, you can see how that changes your ability to feel yourself. And then keep those things in mind, your own personal rhythm and the way that you're experiencing energy in your body, and have a little walk around. And as you're walking around, you know, you don't have to cover a lot of ground, right? It's just the process of shifting your weight onto one leg, through one foot, onto the other leg, through the other foot. So as you're walking around, pay attention to if there's a way that you could soften your joints just slightly. That might mean that your movements are a little different than usual. The way that you negotiate space and gravity might be a little different than usual. So you can have a little extra suppleness in the bones of your feet, the bones of your ankles, your knees, your hip joints, and even the bones of your spine, your ribs, your shoulders. So as you step, you start to kind of listen for more of a echo that goes through your whole self. And as you do that, shift your attention so that your footsteps become like an exchange with the ground underneath you. And if you haven't already, take a few steps backwards, walking sideways. Again, just listening for a little bit more of a soft exchange between the weight of yourself through gravity and then the response through the floor, coming back up through yourself. What do you notice about your own personal rhythm? And then you can go to your spot and first lay down in whatever position first seems like would be the most comforting and grounding for you. Whatever position you chose, listen for a sense of exchange between the weight of yourself and the floor, even as you lay in stillness. And listen for if there's any little exchange between your breathing and the floor. And pay attention to the areas that you feel that you're resisting the floor, resisting an exchange with the floor, resisting a feeling of expanding outward into the space around you. Don't fight it, right? You'll have time to start to unravel So for now, let yourself be in whatever state it is that you're in. And if you're not on your back, gently make your way onto your back with your feet standing. And take hold of your right knee with both of your hands. Start to describe a circle in space with your right knee. And pay attention to your own personal rhythm. And see if you can gradually start to pay more attention to the feeling of the head of your thigh bone influencing your hip joint, and the feeling around your back. Start to listen for where the circle is stickier or smoother. And then start to coordinate your breathing so that half of your circle is an inhale and half of your circle is an exhale. And keep with your own personal rhythm and bring your circles in the opposite direction. And then put that foot down and pick up the other knee. And see how it is to turn this knee in circles, and the way that you can start to include your hip and your back in your sensation. Half the circle and inhale, half the circle and exhale. And see if you can also start to bring your attention to the way that these circles, no matter how big or small, have a little influence on your shoulders and on your collarbones and your chest. And maybe even the slightest change in the feeling around your neck. Following your own personal rhythm. Listening for when or if that rhythm starts to change. And let your circles go the other direction. Good. And then stand both your feet for a moment. And notice the interchange between your breathing and the floor behind you. And then take hold of each of your knees with each of your hands. Right hand, right knee, left hand, left knee. And start to describe circles with each of your knees. So your circles go toward each other and away from each other. And if you can allow your wrists and your hands to be nice and soft, then you might get more of an influence going over your chest and your throat, your shoulder blades. And see if you can again follow your own personal rhythm and coordinate your own breathing so that half the circle's an inhale and the other half the circle's the exhale. Do these circles the other way. Awesome. All right, bring your legs down completely and take a pause in your back. And bring your attention to the way that you feel support from the floor. Is there some part of yourself that almost wants to deny the support of the floor? That is still tied up in some tiny little knots that keep you lifted away from the floor. And listen for your curves that start from the back of your heels, going up to the back of your knees, back of your thighs, your bum. And curve along the bottom of your back, middle of your back, top of your back. Curve around your shoulders, your arms, your elbows, your wrists. And the curve of your neck to your head. And then bend your knees and stand your feet again. And hold on to opposite elbows in front of you, like a little, sort of like a little square. And very gently see how it feels in your back and your shoulders and your neck to bring your elbows up in the direction of your head and down in the direction of your belly. Again, notice your personal rhythm. And see if lifting your arms evokes more of an inhale or more of an exhale. And then continue, but follow the movement with your eyes. So when your arms come down, your eyes go down, and when your arms go up, your eyes go up. And maybe change the position of your arms so that you switch your hands. And then start to bring your little sort of square shape a little bit to the right and back and a little bit to the left and back. And see if you can feel the difference between if you keep your square a square or if you squish your square, right? So one way means that your elbows would bend way out to the side. Can you feel the difference in those two things? Is there a different influence on your spine if you're pulling your elbows or if you're keeping a square shape? And then rest the top of that square on your forehead. So you might widen the square a bit. And then with your head glued to the square, keep moving the square to the left and to the right. And then rest your head in the middle, bring your square back up in front of you and start to describe a bit of a circle in space with your square. So that it goes a bit up, it goes a bit down, it goes a bit to the right and a bit to the left. What does it feel like on your chest and your throat, your tongue, and the hinge of your jaw as you're doing these movements? Listen for places that you could start to unravel a little bit. Listen to where there might be changes in your personal rhythm. Great, and then bring your arms down. Take a pause for a moment. So for me, the reset is about reestablishing a homeostasis. To me, that feels like an okayness, coming closer and closer to a feeling of okayness. And it's all we can hope for is to get closer. Some of you might get really lucky and get to your bliss space. But for now, it's just edging a little bit closer to a little bit more of a feeling of wholeness, a little bit more connected, relaxed. So now interlace your fingers behind your head, but just rest your elbows out to the side and put your right ankle on your left knee. And then feel how it is to bring both of your legs comfortably to the right and come back. And start out erring on the side of not a big stretch. What happens in the zone before the sensation that's familiar? Is there something new that you could discover in the tissues along your breastbone, tissues underneath your armpit, tissues behind your ears, tissues wrapping around the inside of your mouth cavity? What kind of influence does this movement of your legs and your pelvis have on your torso, your arms, your throat, your breathing? And switch feet and legs. You can switch the interlace of your fingers behind your head. And start to gently drop your legs toward the left and come back. Is there any influence on your upper palate when you bring your legs to the side? Is there a way that you could soften your tongue in your mouth a little bit? Almost like you could soften the very back of the cavities of your ears and the very back of the cavity of your mouth. Okay, and let that go. Bring all your parts down. Make contact with the mothership again. And bring your attention to your state, the way that you feel energy, movement, or warmth, or agitation, or excitement, dullness. And if it's challenging for you to stay connected to that feeling, just pay attention to how it feels to be taken out of the experience. And then you'll dip back in for a minute and you'll be taken out. And you observe, oh, wow, that's the difference between being there and coming out, being there and coming out. And it's incremental. It's incremental. So now bend your knees and stand your feet again, but this time put your palms on the front of your low ribs. With your fingers, facing each other, elbows resting on the floor, exactly. And just resting your hands there first, start to do a movement with your feet of pushing the floor away with the balls of your feet. Yeah, and then pushing the floor away with your heels. So it's a movement of your feet and your ankles, and you'll find out for yourself when you can allow an interchange between the floor and your feet, and then from your feet and your legs through your pelvis and through your spine. So without directing your spine to do anything in particular, just see what happens. Push through the balls of your feet, and then push through the heels of your feet. Yep. Can you find where there's interference? There's some part of you that is still attached to being a certain way and is not so open to adapting yet. And then leave your feet quiet for a moment and bring your attention to your abdomen and bring your breathing down below your hands. So that as you inhale, like a really subtle stretching of the skin of your belly and the front and the sides. And then as you exhale, it's like that skin gets a little bit more supple. And then gradually, as you expand a little bit through the skin of your abdomen, follow through, create an interchange there. Your belly expands and that lifts your low back a little bit away from the floor. So your pelvis tilts a little bit forward. And then as you empty your abdomen, you soften the skin there and your low back starts to sink more toward the floor. And then your pelvis gets tilted back a little bit. But for now, really stay focused on the changing of the feeling of your abdomen below your hands. And then how your pelvis can start to follow that sensation. What do you notice happening in the bottoms of your feet? Could you integrate your feet into the movement without overriding in some way? So it stays a whole body movement that isn't being controlled by a certain muscle group. Even if the movement is kind of sloppy or tiny, it's completely irrelevant. Feeling more of a sense of a system, a connection that goes through you from your feet. And then gradually start to add in your head so that when your abdomen is full and it pulls your low back a little bit away from the floor, drop your chin down a bit. And then when your abdomen is empty and your low back drops toward the floor, tilt your head back a little bit. Inhale and let your abdomen go forward. Chin comes down. And then your abdomen drops down to the floor and your chin goes up. And keep going with that. See if you can start to find an access point on the back of your skull. So instead of your whole skull sliding up and down, let the movement of your head be so tiny that you can just find this very delicate access point that determines the angle of your chin being up or being down. And as you continue with this movement, continue to even it out. So it's a full body feeling. It's a feeling in your feet. It's an interchange with your feet in the floor. It's a feeling with your legs and your pelvis, and it's an interchange with your pelvis in the floor, your spine in the floor, and that little spot on the back of your head with the floor. Now pause with that for a second. And with your hands resting as they are on your low ribs, do this really gentle rotation movement in your lower arms, your forearms, so that your palms turn slightly in the direction of your face and then come back. Your elbows stay on the floor, that's it. Yep. And take your time with that movement so that you can listen for the influence that has on your shoulder blades and the back of your neck, your chest. And then continue like that and add in a very gentle movement of looking, you can keep your eyes closed, but look down at your palms as your palms look at you. And of course, that will require a little movement of your chin and a little shift on that axis point on the back of your skull. And as you look slightly down and you rotate your palms up, also tilt your pelvis forward so that your low back gets a little bit light from the floor. And have that be your inhale. Your abdomen fills up, and then your abdomen empties, your hands come back down. And keep going a few more times like that. Pivoting on that little spot in the back of your skull. Great. And then start to go the other way. So rotate your hands so your palms look away from you, and look up with your eyes and tilt your head back. And then rest your palms on your belly. And what do you feel under your hands? Now you're pivoting on the thumb side of your hands, and it's almost like your thumbs could somehow have an interchange with the ribs underneath your thumbs that somehow influences the position of your thoracic spine and your neck and your head. Yeah, and then add in the pelvis. So your low back goes down toward the floor, and you breathe out when you lift your head and your eyes and have your palms looking down at your legs. And keep coming back to this sense of being a fully integrated whole, right? So if you notice a particularly strong feeling somewhere, see if you can even out the sensation. Maybe it means you need to take a little break, right? And keep coming back to just being a very delicate, gentle, integrated whole. Yeah, and then you can start to bring both sides of the movement in. So your palms look at you and your eyes look at your palms, and you tilt your pelvis forward, breathe in, feel your abdomen, that's it. And then as you breathe out, your low back goes toward the floor, your palms look at your legs, and you tilt your head up. Notice your personal rhythm. Notice the way that you feel. Okay, and then have a rest. Bring your arms down. Bring your legs down. You could roll over if you like, move around if you like. Anything that you feel like you need to sort of process whatever sort of energy you're building up in your body, changes that are happening. Yeah, stretching, whatever you got to do. All right, now, this time, bring your arms out comfortably to the sides, the right and the left, and bend your knees and stand your feet. Breathe in through your nose and let your hands really gently expand, like little flowers opening. And then as you breathe out, nose or mouth, you can choose, just as gradually close the little petals of your fingers. And find your own personal rhythm. Grow your hands, your fingers. And then bring all your fingers toward your hand. And listen for a sense of connection between the movement of your lungs, movement of your chest, the tissues between your ribs and around your back and around your neck, your shoulders, and how that has some kind of influence, some kind of interchange with this delicate movement of your hands. Now, this time you're going to have your hands open as you breathe in, and you'll, again, slowly close your hands as you breathe out. But as you're breathing out, see if you can pivot back and forth on that little ridge or axis point on the back of your skull. And if you start doing that movement on the back of your skull, you might start to feel how your chest is influenced, your breastbone and your upper back. So for the entire duration of your exhale, you're doing this tilting, tilting, tilting forward and back with your head. Once you're finished with your exhale, keep exhaling. Keep exhaling until you're almost going to cough. There's nothing else to exhale. And then as you breathe in, open your hands like little flowers. And then you might find after the inhale that you need to recuperate a moment. So just have a comfortable inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready to experience it again, flower open your hands with your inhale. And slow down your exhale so you can very, very gently tilt your head, change the shape of your cervical spine, change the shape of your upper thoracic spine and your chest. Many, many times, very slowly and gently. Actually, it could be quickly and gently, just gently as you're closing your hands. And then keep breathing out as long as you can. And you might notice that you empty a lot in your abdomen. There might be an interchange between your abdomen and your chest. Just see whatever happens organically. Don't try to create anything. And then, yeah, as you breathe in, open your fingers and your palms. Very, very delicate through the palms and the fingers. Exhaling and tilting your head back and forward, changing the shape of your neck. Tilting and 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 letting your exhale come out and out and out and out and out and out. And even keep exhaling after it feels like there's nothing left to exhale. Pause once you're done, completely done. And then as you feel your inhale arrive, open your hands with your inhale. And just do that a couple more times. Try not to achieve anything. Try not to jump into a strong sensation. Keep coming back to an interchange with the floor, behind your body, interchange of your breathing with your body, your arms with your chest and your back and your neck. Good. And then leave that, take both of your hands and hold on to the sides of your jaw, your right hand on the left side of your jaw, left hand on the right side of your jaw, like you're kind of making a little neck brace. Have your elbows down by your chest. And then with your own hands, hold your jaw open a little bit. So you have bizarre constraint for your jaws being held open. It's like your jaw is melding into your chest, which is what it's doing. And then see if you can do that little micro tilting on the back of your head, but keep your jaw open. And breathe in and out comfortably. And then it's just really the weight of your arms that keeps your jaw open. And your jaw stays open as you see what it feels like to move your skull independently from your jaw. And then do it a few times with your eyes looking up, tilting your head as you keep your jaw open, breathing in and out, maybe in and out of the mouth. And then try it a few times, tilting your head like that with your eyes looking down. Breathing in and out of the mouth. Okay. Good. And then leave it and roll over onto one of your sides. If you did get a surface for your head, you could put it there. You can also rest on your arm. That's what I was doing earlier. Have your knees up in front of you enough that you don't feel wobbly or like there's no unnecessary strain in your belly or your back to be resting on your side. And on Hila, you might want a little padding under your right ribs there. Anybody that feels like they don't have really good contact with the floor on the side that they're laying on, yeah, if that doesn't feel like a really nice contact, you could put some padding there. You see for yourself. And then take your top hand and just rest it on the side of your face. And then very gently, just a little caress of the skin. I think we were doing this last week. Just from the traction of your hand moving from your chin, the heel of your hands at your chin, moving up toward your temple, and you're just tractioning the skin there a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then coming back down. That's all. You could let your fingers separate around your ear so that your hand makes contact with the skin a bit more below your ear and behind your ear. And you're just very lightly moving the flesh along the muscle. And you'll notice, of course, where that is more, where the tissues are more adaptable or less adaptable. And it's just a little gentle caress. You could also add to it so that you caress a little bit down the side of your neck. And just moving the skin around a little bit. You could pull the skin a bit away from your nose towards your ear. You could pull the skin a bit away from your ear towards your nose. And see if you could keep your jaw separate from your skull. Keep a little space in your jaw, even if it means breathing in and out of your mouth a bit. Mm-hmm. And then the funny thing is, as you're moving your skin over your muscles and over your bones, you can also check in and listen for the influence that that has on your shoulder and on your chest on that side. And then start to bring your hand down the side of your chest. Yeah, could be, sure, your other arm, why not? Side of your chest could be your other arm, along your top ribs, along your belly. Same thing, you're just exploring. It's a caressing, moving the skin on the flesh. Mm-hmm. Feeling how the temperature might be different. Texture of the skin is different in different places. And it's twofold because you're moving your tissue, you're moving your fascia, you're moving your hand, but you're also really allowing for your shoulder to change its position without dictating how it goes and without involving your neck. Your shoulder blade can be independent from the rest of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, you could go down to your hip, around your back, your bum. Just keep moving the skin over whatever tissue is underneath the skin. Yeah, keep your palm pretty much like a little what did we used to call that? Oh, like a flipper. Keep a flipper hand. More or less keep your hand like a little flipper so that the entire surface of your hand can move the skin on your flesh, on your muscles, on your bones. Okay, and then rest your top hand in front of you or any place that's comfortable and use your top foot to start doing something similar. Start to massage your bottom leg with your top foot. And so you can change the position of your knee, change the position of your heel, and you just see what you can feel with the bottom of your foot, the front of your leg, the back of your leg. You could massage your bottom leg with the top of your foot, the side of your foot. And of course, you'll be sort of bending and unbending your knee in different directions. And feel the different textures under your foot, different temperatures. And then start to explore the floor with that top foot. So instead of exploring your leg, explore massage your foot on the floor and see how it is to touch the floor in different places. Slide your foot away from you and toward you. Maybe you keep the bottom of your foot in contact. side of your foot, the inside of your foot, your heel. And if your foot starts to travel far from you, it might take your whole hip and your back a little bit. It might take your shoulder. And again, it's just this interplay, the floor and your foot, and the influence, the echo that goes through your system, through yourself. Pay attention to your personal rhythm. And then you can leave that and rest for a moment on your back. And see the way that you sense yourself. Feel the way that the support is from the floor on each side of you. And then roll over onto your other side. And rest your other hand, starting with the heel of your hand somewhere around your jaw. Your hand like a little flipper hand. And start to move the tissues from your jaw up toward your temple and back to your jaw. Maybe spread your fingers over the front and the back of your ear. And what's interesting here is you can really see for yourself, not just your personal rhythm about how fast or slow that you go, but the kind of tempo, right? The way that you choose a self-soothing or choose not to. Feel how just the pressure of your hand changes the tissues underneath it. Just changing the pressure. Dragging your hand along your skin at a consistent pressure, how that changes the tissues. Yeah, and if you're not exploring already, of course, on your own, you can start to feel how that is along your neck, the back of your skull, your head, chest, bottom arm if you like. Where does the flesh move really with your hand, and where does it feel like it doesn't move with your hand? It's a little stuck to the bone. Down along the side of your chest, side of your ribs, front of your ribs, your belly even, your back, your sacrum. You move the flesh along your sacrum, tailbone, your bum. And it's interesting, you can really play with having even pressure throughout all parts of your hand, but changing what that overall pressure is. When does moving the skin actually move your position a little bit? Maybe just by moving the skin on your ribs, it rolls you a bit forward or it rolls you a bit back. Maybe moving the skin on your hip moves your hip a little bit. Okay, and then rest your arm and first start by feeling how your bottom leg feels with your top foot. See how many parts of your leg you could reach with some part of your toe or the side of your foot or your heel, even with the top of your foot. And then gradually you can change it up. So then you're massaging your foot on the floor and you start to slide your foot all along the floor, in front of your leg, below your leg, behind your leg. You can see what happens if you keep listening for the feeling of the bottom of your foot. Can you actually feel 5 toes simultaneously if you slide the bottom of your foot like a standing foot? And as you continue with that a little bit more, yeah, exploring with your leg, exactly. You listen where your leg starts to influence your hip, starts to influence the way that you get support from the floor, your position. You bring your foot as close up towards your belly as you can a few times. Bring your foot down behind your bum as much as you can a few times. Use that movement to bring you onto your back. And lengthen yourself out. And listen for the support from the floor. And then one more little piece here to make sure that all your parts are all balanced out. Roll over onto your belly. And drag your right knee up to the side. And stand your right hand. And of course, you've got your towels or whatever you need there if you want to make that a bit more comfortable. And yep, you could have your left arm down by your side. You can have your face looking at your right hand. And then with your hand glued where it is, start doing movement of your shoulder blade. And use your elbow to push your shoulder blade in toward your spine and then come back. Yeah, exactly. And listen for your personal rhythm. Right, and you might feel that there's an influence there on your breastbone, position of your head on the floor. And keep going, but change the angle of your hand or the position of your hand relative to your body. Yeah, and so you can explore a bit on your own a few times, sliding your shoulder blade along your ribs with your hand in one way, changing position and trying another way. And then when you determine the place that your shoulder blade will move the freest, keep your hands standing there. And instead shift your attention to the left side of you and see if as you're moving your, let's say, moving your elbow in toward your shoulder and chest, if you can lean more onto your left side until you can just bend your head forward and peer under your right arm a little bit and then come back. But again, have it, it's not don't create the movement. Listen for listen for your weight shifting to the left by way of that movement of your arm. So there's an interplay there, there's a connection from the floor. The movement of your head is really just the response to that interplay between your right hand and the floor. And then switch sides. And start first with your hands standing, left hand standing, right arm probably by your side, if that's a good place for your shoulder. And first, just an exchange between your elbow to your shoulder blade, getting a little permission from your chest, going back and forth, listening to your personal rhythm. Listen for your tendency to hold on to a familiar sensation or a strong sensation, something that gives you a satisfaction, and go more into the boring zone. This more sort of like just a really warm bath, feeling, connecting all of yourself, your arm to your chest, to your breathing. Yep, trying some different positions, listening to the different feelings. Let that place be your dance with the floor, your interplay with the floor. So you receive resistance from the floor, and you let that travel through you, across you. So your weight goes more onto your right side, and then you come back. You could even pay attention to how your legs are responding to that interplay from the floor and your hand. For some of you, it might be softening a bit through your bum, your pelvic floor, your low back. For some of you, it might be actually bringing your attention more to your lower body. And there might even, yeah, I can see now some of you have a little micro response in your straight leg, right? See if you could have such a clear connection through the floor, through your shoulder, your chest, your spine, that there's actually a little influence on your right leg. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the movement of your head, the tilting or the peaking of your head is really just the kind of space that you're creating with your shoulder and your chest. That's it. Yeah. Now see if you can find a way to breathe that will complement that, so it becomes a more integrated movement. I receive the floor, there's an interchange. My breathing is part of this expression. I can feel through my spine, through my pelvis, to my legs. And then let that go and rest your forehead in both your hands for a moment. And you can choose to either keep your forehead on your hands, on the floor, on one fist, on two fists. And very, very gradually, you're going to, again, you can think of it again as like stretching the flesh on your forehead, dragging the flesh of your forehead. The flesh of your forehead will go up as your head goes down in the direction of your own chest. Right? So you're dragging the flesh of your forehead up as you look down. As you look down, exactly. So there's a resistance, the tractioning of the flesh of your forehead. And with your eyes, look down with your eyes and listen for the part of your spine that's between your shoulder blades. And see if you can remember that your chest is that part of your spine, right? So listen for how your chest can soften and adapt. Exactly. The softening and adapting of the middle of your chest, stretching that flesh in your forehead up, finding out where you can get a little bit more support from the floor, a little less support from your jaw, your mouth cavity, your tongue. And then add in the other direction and keep your eyes closed, but start to look up with your eyes. Maybe you just shift your forehead, maybe you lift your face. Again, it's just coming from the feeling of your chest integrated to your back, and then coming back down, lifting up, listening for the response in your chest and your back and your shoulders, and coming back down. Position to the other. You could prop yourself up higher if you wanted to be on your forearms or elbows. How nice can you allow for that feeling to be? Is there something you can do that allows it to be a little bit more comfy, a little bit more encompassing? If that's a kind of movement that's just not really a good place for you, it's, you know, always adapt, right? You can imagine the movement, you can do the movement just with your eyes, and find something that works so you stay integrated and connected. Great. Okay, and let it go. And again, come back onto your back, take a rest. And see what you're left with. What's the influence of connecting to yourself like this, moving your tissues, changing your breathing? What are you left with? I think what's meaningful about developing this practice is developing a time where we can meet as a community of caring about the same things, so that you know that you are supported by people that are looking to also embody and connect. I really encourage you, let this practice just be the springboard for you to create your own experience with yourself. Keep developing your own intimacy with yourself. Okay. So I'll leave you for now, and thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you soon.